All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I am your host, Lance Twidwell, here with my co-host, Eddie Ortiz.
Yo.
And we have a very special guest, my brother, a guy that knows the sports very well, a lot better than I do. I just try to pretend like I can keep up. My guy, Trevor Twidwell. What's going on, Trev?
What's going on, America?
Yeah, so guys, let's get right into this because there's a lot to talk about. But before I get into that, I want to thank everybody that's listened. The first week was so much fun. We had a lot of reception, a lot of feedback from people that we did know, we didn't know, and it was very humbling. It was very exciting to get that type of feedback. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to us just ramble about sports and give you what we got. So thank you guys so much in advance. And for everybody that this is your first show, this is The Spoken. We've been on Facebook since December of 2010, and we said, why the hell not? Let's make this a podcast. So we're going to be doing this every Friday night, and we look forward to what's coming next. So needless to say, like I said, let's get right into it. Needless to say, guys, this was a day of news, and I feel like we got pretty lucky with this because it's Friday, and we get this kind of just falling on our laps. And what I'm talking about is New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft has supposedly been involved with let's just call it what it is, sex trafficking in Florida. From a massage parlor. And there's a lot of details that still have yet to come. But we do know is that he is involved. How much we don't know, but we do know that he is involved. And there is a serious problem with the NFL, with the Patriots, and what's going to happen. How is it all going to play out? We don't know. We're just trying to react to the initial reports that have come out from Adam Schefter and several other news sources. And so, Eddie, I want to get your thoughts on this, man. I know you've had a lot of time to think about, what has transpired to this point. I'm sure by the time we post this and release this podcast, rather, that there's going to be more news that comes about. So just where you're at right now, what is your takeaway of what you've heard to this point regarding this situation?
Man, it's breathtaking. It's shocking. You're like, I didn't wake up to expect such kind of news today. It's a huge hit on the Patriots. I think organization-wise, it's a huge hit. They've been known to, cheating and whatnot, deflategate, blah, blah, blah. So this is not just the first thing that's ever come up with the Patriots. It's just, it keeps on going. So, yeah, man, I was, I was asleep. I woke up to your text. You text me, and I was like kind of confused on the text. I wasn't too sure what it was about. And then I went to Twitter. First thing I saw, number one thing trending, Robert Kraft. Man, it's like I said, it's a huge hit on the Patriots organization. I don't know what you think.
Well, that's I think you're spot on. I think everyone was more or less just shocked because Robert Kraft has, in some forms and fashion, been a spokesman for other NFL owners. Him and Jerry Jones have been the most popular, most well-known, most vocal owners, especially during controversial topics like Kaepernick's, other situations that we've had, Spygate and things of that nature. He's had a lot of problems with Roger Goodell, and we have thought, like I said, that Robert Kraft a lot of times was excluded from the Tom Brady, situation to Belichick, whether he cheated or not, things of that nature. We thought that Robert Kraft was the moral compass, was the one that kind of kept everything together, and now we hear things like this. Trevor, what is your thoughts on this, man? What'd you take away?
I wish I was shocked. I gotta be honest, man. It didn't shock me. The story itself shocked me as far as what the context of it is, but just the fact that it's the Patriots organization, man. I mean, time and time again, we've had issues, lawsuits, suspended quarterbacks, firings. So the owner, an owner that gives open mouth kisses to his quarterback, I don't know, man. This is like that. I don't know. This being Mr. Kraft, yeah, he's been a spokesman, and him and a couple others have been, class acts for the most part as far as the record being clean. But it doesn't surprise me, man. And I hope I hope everything we get, like you said, the information that we get everything cleared up. I know the guy's a billionaire. It's just kind of odd that anybody that's worth billions of dollars is going and getting handies at a, at an Asian party that's beyond me.
What was it, $75?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, you're worth billions, dude. Have someone come to your house. Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's the thrill of the rush, going and maybe, but he was very well aware of what was going on. There's no way this guy worth billions doesn't know that there's trafficking going on. So if he's any way involved in bringing the bodies in for this, the guy's got to go down, and I think it's going to be the end of the organization as far as their success.
Well, and that, I'm glad you brought up the part about him knowing what has happened because I'm driving into the studio tonight, which, by the way, we are recording this at the KC Beard Co. Studios. Thank you so much. But we have, I was hearing some of the local radio hosts talking about, trying to make an angle that Kraft is somehow innocent in all this, about how he may not have known that there was things going. And I'm sitting here going, okay, you're telling me that a billionaire owner is going to some random South Florida parlor that just so happens to be the place that has sex trafficking going on. It's a sex trafficking ring, and he just has no idea that's going on.
Well, immediately the first thing I think of is, what if this is a player?
Exactly.
What if this is if this was a player, if this was even Tom Brady, the holy Tom Brady. Well, you've seen Tom Brady get suspended for less. So, destroying a cell phone, he gets 4 games for that. If this was a player, his career is most likely over. So if he's guilty of even one of these charges, he's got to be done.
Yeah.
The Kraft family is going to be tarnished for sure if this is legit. But him in his position, he's got to go.
Do you think? Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you think he has to sell the team, or do you think he'll still keep control, just not be the head?
Maybe his shares. I mean, I know he's the outright owner, but maybe he sells it to someone within his family, or someone, one of his close, allies, or someone that he can, sell it to. I don't know, man. I really don't know because it's like there's so much up in the air right now. We don't have no idea what the hell the details are. But this reeks to me, man. Like this doesn't come out, especially all the way out in Miami, or not Miami, but Florida. This is something that he went out of his way, to do, to go down there and partake in this weird rush that he wanted to go partake in.
I think what scares me the most about it is the fact that what Adam Schefter also added to all this was that he's not even the biggest name. And that's what scares me, because if you look at it, NFL owners, especially Robert Kraft, the most successful owner in NFL history, let's just go ahead and say it, he's not the biggest name. Like, then you got to start thinking about, like, you're talking like presidents. You're talking
me and Trev were talking kind of before the show, kind of trying to get a heads up on this and stuff. And I mean, we were talking, it has to be politicians. I think for a name to be bigger than Kraft, bigger than a owner of the NFL, it has to be a politician
or another owner.
Or it has,
another big name owner, even maybe,
Jerry Jones, maybe.
Well, maybe not even in the NFL. Maybe like I mentioned you jokingly, Pat Riley.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. Look, I know I'm not throwing this out there as an accusation. I don't want to put anything on Pat Riley's name, but it's in that area. It's Florida. Pat Riley's kind of a skeezy looking, kind of mobster looking, kind of greasy haired guy. Seems like he would be up to something. I know I'm judging him by his appearance. The guy's a great businessman, but I was saying, like, there's other. That's a big name too. I'm just like thinking of other.
If Pat, if you're listening to this, Pat Riley, if you're listening to this, don't come after us. We're in Kansas. I'm not going to disclose my address, but no, I mean, what you guys are saying makes a lot of sense. And like I said, it just scares me to think of what could come of this. And I'll be honest, guys, as much as I thought that Robert Kraft had his stuff together, seeing him be a guy that was a forefront or a pioneer for injustice, like against injustice, really associating himself with, when Meek Mill was going through his situation. And sure. I'm like, man, Robert Kraft is really out there trying to make a difference. It's not often you see 77-year-old white guys out there trying to make a difference in black communities and things like that. And so I was kind of on his side, even though he is the owner of the Patriots. And I despise that franchise in so many ways. But now I'm looking at it. And even though it initially shocked me because of the news, I don't feel surprised that it's the Patriots that this is attached to, because you have a cheating head coach who's been caught and they lost draft picks. I love Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach of all time in my eyes, but he did get caught cheating. And Tom Brady makes out with his kids. Let's just be real here. That's creepy. That's some creepy stuff. So there's a lot of weird things in that organization. And guys, I don't know how else to say it. It just got so much weirder because now the question arises, like, because as close as Robert Kraft is to Tom Brady, What if that's a name that is also a part of this?
Oh.
That's what I mean. I hate to speculate, but that's all we can really do right now because we don't know the facts. All we do know is Adam Schefter did confirm there are other names and it's bigger. I would say that Tom Brady's right up there with Robert Kraft. I think his name is right up there with Robert Kraft if that was to come out.
I have no reason to give him Robert Kraft the benefit of the doubt.
And why should you?
I have no reason to because, I mean, like I said, with this organization, he's had his finger in some very suspect things and some proven suspect things. With Spygate and Deflategate and all that nonsense. He's the puppet master.
Yep.
This dude is very involved. We know that. He's making out with the quarterback, so he's involved with everything that's going on. Right? And I say that jokingly.
Well, you actually did. I mean, I hear no lies.
I just don't want
was
Patriots
clear.
fans to hear this. I know we got some Patriots fans that are fans of the show and the page and everything. That I'm not just ragging on the Patriots. The success speaks for itself. But I have no reason to give him the benefit of the doubt because this franchise has been sleazy, man. And if any accusations come out like this with any kind, it's got to give you pause.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts right now, guys. Like I said, there's so much more that has to come about, but our initial reactions are just that, that it's disgusting. There's no excuse for it. And personally, if I was the NFL, if I had control of or say of what's to happen as far as the football side of things, I think that there is a strong chance that I would push that Robert Kraft has to either sell his team or relinquish his power above the team because you cannot have that type of person representing, especially at the magnitude that he has. You can't have him representing an NFL franchise when NFL is as big as it is. I mean, even if this happened in baseball or MLS, something like that, I think those guys would have to step down. Even with the Panthers owner, when he said racial remarks and things like that, he had to let go.
Those are just words.
Yeah, Donald Sterling in the NBA with the Clippers. As crazy as that was, this is at a whole new level. So
this is too I know we're trying to get move past this, but just if the trafficking thing sticks, that's the kicker, man. Who cares about prostitution? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say that's not a big deal, but the dude's going to pay for handies. Who gives a
well, yeah, let's be honest. When we first heard
trafficking going on, that's the big deal.
When we first heard about this, we thought he was just having sex with prostitutes. We're like, now we can make jokes, memes, things of that nature. Because really, let's be honest, we're all going to move on from that. But when we hear that people are being sold and people are being abused and things of that, that's a whole new level. It's not funny no more. And so this is a whole new situation now that we know what that is. And within, I guarantee before Monday, we're going to have a full story of what's happening because they're moving quick on this one.
The NFL has said that it is aware of the ongoing law enforcement matter and will continue to monitor developments. And I mean,
I know Roger Goodell's just chomping a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of animosity between them. So, all right, guys. Now that we've addressed that, let's get into what you guys all really like to talk about. Because, like I told you, this show is going to be primarily local sports, and we all know what is king here, and that is football. That is the Chiefs. That is Patrick Mahomes, and everything in between. So, I teased a little bit on Twitter on our Twitter account. What we wanted to do tonight is talk about the 5 moves, or not really necessarily just 5, but just the moves in general that we'd like to see the Chiefs make this offseason. And so, Eddie, I'm going to give you the floor real quick. I want you to give me a few of yours of what you think you think the Chiefs should do this offseason, what you think they should do, whether it's releasing a player, signing a player, what you think is going to make the team better in 2019.
Well, let's start with I would tag D Ford because I would get rid of Houston. Just to say, like we were talking about last week, it would just only make sense to release Houston and Barry. That's three of the moves I'm sticking to. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy, but I think money-wise, I think that would be the best sense for the Chiefs. Now, I don't know what you guys would have to say to that matter.
I don't think all three of those happen. I definitely think D Ford's getting tagged, and I'm for that. If you had asked me this before the season, I was ready for him to just let him walk. But I think he proved something this year. I think he finally had a fully healthy year. I think he's deserving of the tag, at least for one more year, and then we can let him walk. I don't really give a damn after that. Like the kid, but he's proven to be inconsistent and injury prone. So we'll see, and then, and the Eric Berry thing, I mean, that's a tough one to judge, man, how we're going to attack that. It's really up to Beach, I think. I think Beach has proven to make the right move. So.
Well, as far as the D Ford tagging is concerned, I think you guys all know how I feel about it. I've not been on his side very much because of the fact I don't think that he's as good as 2018 told us. I think we have a larger body of work of what he really is than what he was last season. I think he was trying to earn some money, and I think he's playing ball literally and figuratively by allowing the franchise tag. He's, not making any controversy with this entire thing, and that's great. They're talking about, signing him or tagging him as a defensive end as opposed to a linebacker because it's cheaper. So that's smarter on the Chiefs end. It's still going to be roughly around $18 million to cap it to tag him, and it's going to go all guaranteed money. So with that, cutting Eric Berry and Justin Houston almost has to be a prerequisite with that because of the fact that the Chiefs only have about $25 million in cap space currently. So they would have to cut ties with Houston and Berry to allow them to essentially pay for D Ford's tag. And I think it's going to happen. I think the Chiefs are going to tag D Ford because I think they believe in him. He is going to be 28 years old next season, just around the prime of his career. They're going to give him another prove-it year. I do think the Chiefs will move on from him after the 2019 season, but I do think the tag is coming. So I do think that's going to be an offseason move the Chiefs are going to make. One for me, though, guys, and it's a free agent that I'm really big into is, and I think that it's no real, it's not going to be a shocker to you guys to hear, but it's got to be Landon Collins.
Absolutely.
The Chiefs have got to sign him. I know there's been some pushback on Twitter. I've been listening to a few of my guys that, I trust their football knowledge, and some of them are saying that, it'd be a good pickup, but he's not great. For me, I don't really care about that. For me, he's 25 years old, knows this system, is much better than anything we've had at safety for a couple of years now. And I think it just makes all the sense in the world. And like I said, once these other moves start to happen where the Chiefs get rid of like Xavier Williams and Sorensen, Houston, Berry, there's going to be a lot more cap space. So you can sign him to a long-term deal and lock him up until he's around 30 years old. So I don't know what you guys think about that move, but for me, that's common sense.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Landon Collins is the top of my list. Second would be obviously Earl Thomas. I think he's going to bounce back. I mean, it's just a broken bone. The guy is an elite talent. I mean, he's pretty much been the best safety, really. He's as far as that position. He's a great open field tackler too, so that would be my guy for sure. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with. I think I would go Earl Thomas just because I think it's cheaper. I think he's by him turning 30 and having the injury he had, he can't just go out there demanding getting paid too much. So I think it would make sense for the Chiefs to go for somebody that's cheap and good.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Too. And we are Super Bowl or bust right now.
Yes.
So. Going to get a guy like Earl Thomas instead of a guy like Landon Collins, which I think Landon Collins has all the talent in the world to thrive, especially in this system. But I think Earl Thomas brings that. He's been there. He brings that championship mentality. He'll come in and school these young guys, into position like Eric Berry would, but he's actually going to be on the field. That's the difference. So, letting Eric Berry walk, we got to replace Eric Berry with another elite talent.
Yeah, and to jump on the whole Eric Berry thing, I mean, I've been his biggest defender for over a year now. And I believe that he was going to come back and contribute. And when I start hearing shit like, I don't feel it in my spirit. Well, I'm sorry. I don't feel it in my spirit to give a shit about you anymore. So I want him off my team, even if it meant we had it cost us a little bit of money, which it doesn't. Because if they wait, like I told everybody on the podcast last week, for my guy, Craig Stout, he told me that if, they wait till June 1st and they cut him right there, they're only I think it's only 3.9 million that they would have to pay for. And it saves them around 8.5 for them to get rid of him. So it just makes a lot of sense. And we don't know when he'd even be back to begin with. Right. So that I want to cut ties with the cloud that over, comes over this because he's not contributing. If he was contributing and there was some other controversy, I'd be willing to let it slide. But this is something that has to do with being on and off the field. And I'm done with it. Last year, it really cost the Chiefs in a lot of ways. And he decided to quit in big games. So, the other free agents that I actually been looking at, and I did a lot of searching on these guys because they're names, but I wanted to know why I would want them. The two guys that I really like, or I would be very happy if the Chiefs wouldn't have got him, is Vinny Curry, defensive end. He actually currently played for the Buccaneers. He is a free agent now, obviously. But Andy Reid actually drafted him in 2012 in Philadelphia. And he's played 7 seasons. He's going to be 31 in June. He has 24.5 sacks. And like I said, Andy Reid knows him. He's familiar. He's a good player. He's a solid guy. He's rotational. I think he would really fit the scheme really well. And then there's Shaquille Barrett. He's 26 years old. He's played 5 seasons with the Broncos. I've been reading up on Broncos Wire today, kind of getting a feel of what they think. They really like him in Denver. The thing about it, though, is they think he's too hefty of a price. I'll give you some numbers real quick that he's had. He had 14 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 151 tackles. SpotTrack.com projects that he's going to get a 4-year, $29.4 million deal. And the Broncos, like I said, they think that's too steep for them with their contract, with their cap space problems they're having now with signing 2 shit quarterbacks that are, in their 30s now that both suck. So I think that he would probably be the better bet I think he would fit the system really well. He's younger. He's about 4 or 5 years younger than Vinny Curry, but I would love to get either one of those guys. What do you guys think about those guys?
I mean, there can be big names all you want. We need somebody that's going to come in here, do their damn job, make tackles, man. I don't know how many times we had – it doesn't matter who the name was. Anthony Hitchens was one of the prime examples this year of missing freaking tackles, which he was known for in Dallas, which was the most frustrating thing because I like the guy a lot, and I think he's a great talent. But honestly, that's a deep thing. He was being misused, I think, a lot. He was being put in coverage in spots that he's not comfortable with. Whatever. That's going to change this next season. But I agree with the names you brought up, and I think Shane Ray's another addition guy that I think would love and would come on a discount because he's been injury prone. But I think he would be highly motivated to stay within the division and then come in here, hometown kid, and want to show out.
Yeah,
I think Shane Ray would be a great addition. That's me. But
what about you, man?
I would agree with Trev. I don't think we need big names. I just like he said, we need somebody that can make those plays, those clutch plays. All we need is a player that can make those tackles. If we can make the defense just a slightly better, I think this team is unstoppable. I mean, who can stop us?
I think Dorian O'Daniel is going to be that guy. That's my opinion. I just wanted to throw that in there because I think Dorian O'Daniel is going to be a freaking stud. Yeah, that guy, man. Just watching his tape. Watching him when he was actually healthy this year before he got hurt, that guy, man, the way he covers just the flat, his ability to just wrap up guys and tackle guys. He was the only one to me that I saw that was making those kind of open field tackles.
Yeah, let's just hope he can stay healthy.
That's the thing. I think he's extremely talented.
Let's just hope he can stay healthy.
He's exactly the kind of guy that would be good in Spag's system, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Brett Veach is going to give his young drafted players from last season a lot of opportunity this year. I would be shocked if Vinny Curry or Shaquille Barrett end up in Kansas City because of those things, but I would like to see those guys for depth moves. But I do agree. I think Dorian O'Daniel at the will is going to be – I think he's going to be a stud there because it fits him better. Clemson, he shined, when he played, closer to that position. Breland Speaks is going to get a lot of snaps this year at defensive end. If he can just hold the edge, I think that he's going to be – that's really all we need from him.
He's a beast, man.
He's taking some pressure off Chris Jones is the key because you don't want to have to see him – have to go and get 15 sacks. Now, it's great. You want to see him, perform. But, having a variance of guys that are getting to the quarterback at a consistent basis is really, if we're being honest, it was D Ford and Chris Jones, and then every once in a while Justin Houston was getting there. If you have 3 or 4 guys that are constantly getting at the quarterback, not even just getting sacks, but just pressures and knocking them on the ground, that's what makes the defense all that more dangerous. And like you said, if you just get a defense that can just be consistent and just make clutch plays and get turnovers, things of that nature, this team will be unstoppable. I think they're still the best team in the AFC. You give Patrick Mahomes a pass rush that's going to get him the ball a couple more possessions a game. This team is going to be even more dangerous. So
we led the league in sacks this year. Yeah, let's get those pressures up. Let's be more consistent. We've had high sack games, but the consistency is the key for sure. So,
and as far as Justin Houston is concerned, I've slowly become a person that is okay with them cutting him. My dream though, and it's because I am such a big fan and believer in Justin Houston because when he's been healthy, he's been very, very good.
Great this year.
Yeah, my thing is I'm hoping that him and his agent come to the Chiefs when they inevitably meet and he says, let's figure this out. I'll take half a salary.
I would love for him to take, restructure his contract.
Oh, let's make it clear. They can't keep him the way they can't pay him $20 million.
There's no way.
So that's the point. I think that if Justin wants to stay on a contender and get an opportunity to still make a little money and get his chance to win actual playoff, have real playoff success, then he's going to stay in Kansas City. But there will be a team out there that like a Jets team that would take an opportunity on getting him a 2-3 year deal and paying him $38 million. He can go out there and get that. He could. I mean, there's teams out there desperate enough for pass rushers that give him a short-term deal with front-loaded guaranteed money. Yeah. That way they can get his best years, whatever's left of him, early on. And so I could see that happening. My whole thing is I'm hoping he decides to stay, but I get it on the business side. If Justin decides, you know what, it's time for me to part ways. Thank you guys for your time. Because honestly, if I was him, I'd be a little reluctant to giving the Chiefs a deal because of the fact they franchise tagged him before when they could have given him his money beforehand. And then he bet on himself and went out there and had one of the greatest sack seasons of all time. Yeah. So if I'm him, I'm going to bring that up. what saves them is the fact that he wasn't dealing with Brett Veach at that time. So there can be a new established relationship in that regard because John Dorsey was the one that kind of baffled that.
I think Brett Veach is a different cat, man. I think Brett Veach is who we've wanted. I know there's been a lot of people not sure about Brett Veach, but I think Brett Veach is the guy that's not going to be. He's the good kind of not loyal. You know what I mean? Like over loyal, like we've seen with Andy Reid with staff, and that's what we need, man. We need a cutthroat kind of guy guiding the ship.
Yep.
And we don't want to be that team. We've dealt with that over and over again with cap issues. Pioli and Dorsey. I love Dorsey, but dude, he didn't manage the cap right.
Right.
And that screwed us. So you gotta do what you gotta do to be a winner.
Right.
That's what we want.
There will be other moves. Like I said, I expect Reggie Ragland to be gone. I expect Xavier Williams to be gone. Sorensen. They're just cap weight. So you get rid of those guys. You open up some cap space for your mid-level draft picks. These free agents you're going to pick up because I do think the Chiefs are going to sign an offensive lineman. I do think they're going. I do see them getting a defensive free agent. I don't know who and I don't know how, but those are the two names that popped up. I am a big fan of Anthony Barr, and I've talked about him on the show last week. The problem is, and I talked to my guy Craig Stout about this, and something he had mentioned was, although he's a big fan of him as well, he's going to attract a big payday.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think the Chiefs are going to drop big money on a guy that doesn't even have 20 sacks in his career, and he's 26. He's got talent, but he hasn't put up the numbers that make you think, okay, he's worth a big contract.
He's had some injuries too, correct?
I think early on. I don't know, because last year he actually had a pretty good season.
I mean, the guy's consistent.
And he's the one that injured Aaron Rodgers last season. So like I said, guys, these are just some of the ideas that we have, and it's going to fluctuate. I'm sure next week if we bring this up, there'll be other names or other ideas we have as far as this particular topic is concerned. But this is where we currently stand, and this is the fun part about it because in the offseason there's so much speculation, and it's really fun to really kind of piece this team together in our own fantasy way. So when we come back from these messages, guys, we're going to talk about a few other things that I know you guys are interested in, and I know I'm interested in. I've been wanting to talk about it for a few days now. It's regarding Tyreek's contract. And if it came down to it, who would you take, Tyreek Hill or Chris Jones? We'll be back after this. Located in the historic Westport District, Modern Man Supply Company is your Kansas City's new home for men's retail. From apparel to pomade and home goods to beard care, they offer a wide range of men's products from independent companies from around the world. Follow them at Modern Man Supply Company on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Midcoast Modern is a Kansas City focus on modern, handmade, and small brands. A resource for design-centric home goods, apparel, jewelry, artwork, and limited edition gifts. We support makers, artists from the Midcoast, and bring in goods from makers, artists around the U.S. to offer a unique selection.
And we are back on the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, with my co-host, Eddie Ortiz.
Yo.
And my brother and our special guest. We already have a special guest here, Trevor Twidwell.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, so we our first segment, I think it went pretty well. We talked a little bit about Robert Kraft, the whole Patriots situation, what's going to come of that, our speculation on that, and a few moves that we'd like to see the Chiefs make in the offseason as far as free agency, signings, cuttings, things of that nature. And we're going to move right along to our next topics. And again, this is something I think that, everybody's already talking about it. Everyone has their own assumptions, their own ideas of how it's going to go about, what they think is going to happen. And let's just get right into it, guys, because I think this is something that is very pivotal to the Chiefs' future. Most times when it comes to wide receivers, I think teams kind of take it with a grain of salt of how important they really are, because if you watch the league over the last 10 years, you've seen teams kind of have a revolving door with wide receivers. But then every once in a while, you have these guys that really stand out with their talent, their performances, and you cannot overlook how important they are for the franchise. Well, Tyreek Hill is absolutely that here in Kansas City. And that definitely says something, because he absolutely had a lot to do with what Alex Smith's success in 2017 was, because he was open all the freaking time. And then you have Patrick Mahomes in his first season really finding his own way in the league. Tyreek Hill made that very easy for him. Yep. And so we got to give him a lot of credit. He is going to get himself a large chunk of money and a big contract very soon. The thing about it, though, is a lot of people bring up the OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. contract, because there are some similar comparisons between them. And Clay Windler, owner of Red Tribe Cinema, actually put that in our Spoken Monday suggestion post. He asked me to address this, so I figured, you know what, let's give this a run. Let's talk about the comparisons between the contract Odell Beckham got and what the comparisons will be as far as what Tyreek Hill is going to get. So, Eddie, I hand it to you, man. What do you think about this? What's your theory on how it's all going to go about? What's the comparison between the two contracts?
Well, I want to start with OBJ's contract. I want to kind of read a little bit on how his contract's kind of structured. He signed a 5-year, $90 million contract with the Giants, with a total guarantee money of $65 million. Now, OBJ is a great receiver. There's no doubt in my mind that he's probably one of the best of right now. And I mean, $90 million is just right for him. Now, within the past couple of seasons, 2-3 years, he's been known to have injuries and has been known to be having a short season.
Character issues as well.
Yes.
Right.
Now, how would that transfer to Tyreek Hill? Talent-wise, I think OBJ has a slight edge on Tyreek.
Right.
Talent-wise,
Overall game.
yes, overall. Now I think Tyreek with the Chiefs, since he joined the Chiefs, he hasn't had one injury. He hasn't missed a game. Knock on wood.
Extremely durable guy. Man.
Yes, I honestly think Tyreek can either have just close to the same contract, or even better.
I disagree. It's hard for me to think that, especially with as much as I've said it from when we first got Mahomes. Well, since we first saw Mahomes become Mahomes, that Tyreek is the most important player out on this team outside of Patrick Mahomes. Just for the fact it's that thunder and lightning, man. It's that how many guys that we've seen come on national TV and say that the one guy that you cannot prepare for is Tyreek Hill. You cannot prepare for that kind of speed. It's a game-breaking type of speed. At any second, he can blast by you, and then he's got that track speed once he gets the ball in his hands. As far as contracts goes, though, I don't think he's going to get Odell money. Just because I've never really seen us pay a position player like that. The Chiefs have never really. Dwayne Bowe made some decent money, but I don't think we've ever seen. I know we've never seen a quarterback make $200+ million either, but we never had a guy like Mahomes for sure. But I don't think he's going to get as much money as Odell. I think he's worth it, but I don't think he's going to get it.
For me, it's very simple. I think that let's just go out and say it. Odell Beckham Jr., when healthy, is the better wide receiver. I think he's the more complete package.
Right.
I think his talent level is higher.
Yes.
I definitely, if I had my choosings between the two, I probably would take Odell Beckham because he's performed at a high level with Eli Manning, who is a walking corpse.
And you got to take into consideration the market.
Yes,
in New York.
And I'm glad you brought that up too. Yeah. So the problem though is the fact of what I just said. When Odell Beckham is healthy,
right?
He just played his 5th season. He's already missed 21 games in his career. Now, when he's healthy, yes, he is amazing. But the problem is he's had some pretty long-standing injuries.
If you want to go there, he's actually regressed as his career's gone on. His first year, his rookie year, when he blew up, he hasn't had a better year really since then as far as sample size.
And I think that goes I think the NFL is so consistent with these things because once you see a guy, especially at a skill position, once you see him excel so high, you see the NFL say, okay, let's slow this guy down.
And plus, imagine the guy had elite quarterback play with. He's had the corpse of Eli for the last few years.
Right. Right. And like Eddie had alluded to, Odell Beckham signed a 5-year, $90 million deal. $41 million of it was guaranteed in his signings. $65 million was guaranteed overall. Yeah. And as far as, because like I said, everyone's been asking, where is Tyreek's contract going to stand up with it? Guys, I actually think it's going to be bigger. And I'm going to be honest with you. The reason why is because it's the health factor. It's the health factor. It's the boom factor. He is the most unstoppable skill player in the NFL. That includes Todd Gurley, DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown. Tyreek Hill is the most unstoppable force out there, and he has the best quarterback in the NFL, which means his performances are not going to slow down barring injury. And so I looked up his number, the projected contract, what Spot Track put on there for his projected contract, because before I even looked this up, I thought he was going to get a bigger contract than Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Come to find out, what they're expecting is a 5-year, $95.5 million deal, which is $5.5 million more than what Odell Beckham made. And they said the guaranteed money is going to be right around the same, about 60 to 65 overall, which would make him he'd be getting paid $19.1 million per year, making him the highest paid wide receiver currently and the 19th all-time highest paid player. Now, I know that sounds crazy because of all the great players that have come before him and that are currently playing. But if you look at the value of what Tyreek Hill brings to this team in particular, you really can't put a price tag on it. Now, I know that sounds crazy, again, because Mahomes is the guy. But let's not sit here and pretend like Mahomes – let's just say it like this. Mahomes would not have had 50 touchdowns this year if he didn't have Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely not. Because, because you have to worry about the defense. Like I said, how many defenders we've seen come on national TV and say you cannot prepare for that guy. Kelsey had a great season as he did because of Tyreek as well. He reaped the benefit of playing underneath that. You play underneath a guy that can break you at any second with the flip of his hips. I mean, that opens up the entire offense. Mm-hmm. Without him, that changes everything.
Yeah.
So him deserving of the money, absolutely deserves the money. Me just being a KC native and seeing not just the Royals but the Chiefs being a farm system for the entire league, not paying guys elite money, just putting asses in the seats to sell tickets. I know we have there's a difference coming around, with Mahomes, and we're getting there. There's a different feel in the air around the city, but I don't think he's going to get that money. I think he's well deserving of it. I think he can ask for it. But I was going to ask you guys too. I don't know if you think the Chiefs or the organization will use the leverage aspect as far as where we drafted him, or where he could have been drafted if we didn't take him, as far as his background. You think well, we gave you that that opportunity that a lot of teams probably wouldn't have.
My only question to this would be, can the Chiefs afford it?
That's right.
I think that's my only question to this contract. Can the Chiefs really afford to pay him more than Odell when Patrick Mahomes next season he's going to get that extension that everybody's talking 200 plus? Can the Chiefs really afford to give him $95 million, like you said?
Yeah. Oh, I'll go ahead and answer it. Yeah, they absolutely can, and the reason why that is because of the moves we just talked about before. Because let's just assume the Chiefs have common sense here, and they're going to open up cap space because they know the relevance and the urgency of signing guys like Chris Jones and Tyreek Hill, and they're going to have to add more free agents to stockpile this team while they still can before they have to pay Patrick Mahomes. So, yes, I do believe they'll have the money, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have signed Sammy Watkins the year before, knowing they're going to have to pay him again this next season in guaranteed money. So, yes, Tyreek Hill can, and I think he will get that money. And again, guys, it's because of the fact that he plays such a significant role with this team. He stays healthy. And to your point, Char, what the question the question you asked was, do I think that they could use leverage?
Right.
Well, actually, I think the opposite side of it. And the reason why that is because he's outperformed their opportunity. Because if they had brought him in here and said, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity. Yeah, we're going to give you an opportunity despite the fact you had these allegations off the field with your girlfriend at the time. Yeah. Despite that, we gave you this opportunity, and then he ends up becoming just a special teams player like a Tavon Austin. If that was the case, then yes, they have all the leverage because he hasn't outperformed the expectation.
Well, and the fact that he's grown every year, we've seen him get better. That's the scariest part about the guy. Who knows what he's going to do next year?
Right.
The guy was, like you said, a special teams gadget guy to begin with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he was. He was actually originally a running back and then a return specialist. Now the guy's an absolute tier 1 elite wide receiver in the league. And he's on the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. The phenom face of the league right now.
Now, I've talked to both of you.
You can't let that guy walk.
I've talked to both of you guys individually about this particular, or about Tyreek Hill a lot.
Yeah.
And something I've always said when it comes to the inevitable contract he's going to make or get is the fact that if he was 4 years older than he is right now, or even 3, I would not want them to pay him the money, because you do not want to pay a guy going into his 30s. They give him a 5-year deal right now. He'd be 29 years old when that contract comes up.
Right, still in his prime.
It makes so much sense because, yes, his speed is what makes him who he is. His durability is what makes him who he is. And as he gets older, being an undersized receiver, taking the beatings he already has taken, his body is going to eventually break down, and the Chiefs are going to have to make a business decision at that time. What I want them to do now is give Patrick Mahomes every weapon, every protective player possible to set him up for success, which makes his job even easier, to where he just has to focus on getting the ball to the playmaker. And what better playmaker out there to give the ball to than Tyreek freaking Hill?
Right.
So I think it's a common sense move. If this is the market value that he has, which is a 5-year, $90+ million deal, $60+ million guaranteed, it has to happen. The Chiefs have to make this happen. It is a common sense move.
Well, when I say he's not, I don't think he's going to get it. It's not that I say I think he deserves it and more, because this guy is like what makes this offense work. He's what makes Kelsey thrive more. You know, he opens the entire offense up. He's the guy everyone has to worry about. There's got to be a safety watching him pretty much all times. You one-on-one him and you're screwed.
Right. So now that we've kind of addressed the contract of what we're going to give Tyreek Hill, now we're going to debate on the other side of it whether we think that he should get the contract if it came down to it over, let's say, Chris Jones, who we all know has been rumored and speculated that he's going to get a contract this offseason as well. I did the numbers on this. Chris Jones, according to Spot Track as well, I for some reason I love going to Spot Track. They seem to be so accurate with their assessments. What they've been talking about is that he's actually going to, based off market value, get a 5-year, $117 million deal, around the same amount of guaranteed money that Tyreek Hill would make, obviously. And that is what they think the Chiefs will be able to afford to give Chris Jones, which would be, I think that would make him the highest paid player at his position currently in the NFL. I might be wrong on that, but I know he'd be one of the top 2 to 3. So and here, let me pitch this to you guys, because I already know what my thought is on this. And I've had to battle it for a little bit, but I've come around to it. If the Chiefs had to decide, let's say this offseason, they said, you know what? We're only going to give one contract like that to either Tyreek Hill or Chris Jones. Who are you guys giving it to? Eddie?
Ooh, man, that's a tough question, really. I'm going to go ahead and go Chris Jones. I think defense, crucial part of the game. To come along with Chris Jones in your team, it's not very simple and easy. You know, you can't just go out there and find that guy out in just a regular draft or out in a free agency. You know, these are players that are staying with a team for numerous years. I would pick Chris Jones over Tyreek Hill if I had to choose one. And yeah, that's my take.
This is an offense-driven league, man. Mine's Tyreek, and it's a no-brainer for me because we have Patrick Mahomes, and I want to make Patrick Mahomes as comfortable as possible. I don't want to take away any single weapon. I know we need to improve the defense, but we can find pass rushers on the cheap. We can find guys that want to come play for Mahomes, knowing that they can have a chance to win, and they'll be, you know, excited to come play for a team that they think can, you know, go get a ring. So I think Tyreek Hill, no question for me, just having those elite offensive weapons, keep this offense going, because look how far this offense took us just this year with as bad as our defense was. And if we can tweak anything on our defense to make it work, and to say Spags comes in and brings a system, you know, and it works out, schemes, you know, his way into however making the defense work and scheming things. There's no way I'm letting Tyreek walk, man. It can't happen for me.
Well, I'm really glad you guys disagree, because I get to split the decision here. This is interesting.
I like it.
I almost don't know what to do with myself. Right? What do I do with my hands? I'm like Ricky Bobby over here. So
offensive league, man.
We just got done praising the hell out of Tyreek Hill, and everything you just said, Trevor, made total sense, and everything you just said made total sense, Eddie, about Chris Jones. This is the tough part about this type of decision. And again, guys, I think they're both going to get signed. Yes. But just for argument's sake, if we had to choose between them, you look at position value. And I don't think any of us are really going to debate whether the wide receiver position is more valuable than a pass rusher, because if we're breaking it down, pass rushers, besides quarterbacks, are probably the most important and valuable position on a team. Right. If you have an elite quarterback and an elite pass rusher, you're going to have playoff success. Why do you think teams like the Patriots all those years and the Broncos, when Peyton Manning got there, were so successful? Why do you think the Seahawks were so successful in those 2 years? Because they had a great quarterback and guys who could get to the quarterback on the opposite side. You have that, you're going to take care of business, you're going to win. So as much as I think Tyreek Hill is invaluable to this team, you cannot put a price tag on Tyreek Hill. And again, you have to sign him. But as much as invaluable as he is, if I'm looking at strictly position, it has to be Chris Jones, because of the fact, if you look, why did the Chiefs lose in the AFC Championship? Now, you can put a lot of it on Bob Sutton, and deservingly so, because my God, the guy was horrible. But a lot of it also came down to the fact of personnel. And they did not have enough personnel. So what sense would it make for me, as someone who is so big against, you know, the defense killing us, to say I'm willing to lose the only consistent piece we had, and he plays a position that is more valuable than Tyreek Hill plays? As great as Tyreek Hill is, I have a strong inclination this team can still go far even if we were to choose a guy like Chris Jones over him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go ahead.
Sorry. My question to you, Trev, is you don't think they can just bring another wide receiver and Patrick Mahomes, making him another great wide receiver, on a cheap?
It's the thing is, I don't want to jinx this chemistry, man, with this offense. That's the biggest thing that scares me. If we let Tyreek walk, and you can't replace that speed. This guy is like something we've never seen before, speed-wise.
Yeah.
We've seen Antonio Brown. The guy's an amazing route runner. He's got the speed, and they're almost identical in size. They're similar players. But Tyreek, I mean, we've had guys come out, and you can tell when they talk about him that they have the shivers. You cannot really hold that guy. And as far as Patrick being able to extend plays, he's the guy that he's looking for in extending plays. I mean, maybe Kelsey here and there underneath, but downfield, we saw in the Baltimore game when that play broke down and that amazing 4th and 9.
Oh, that was beautiful.
I mean, who was he looking for? Tyreek is the guy that he has the connection with. He's I don't want to break that up. I feel like we can replace players on the defense. I know Chris Jones is an elite. I mean, the guy was set records this year. He's the best defensive player we've had since maybe DT, to be real. The guy's amazing. Maybe besides Justin Houston's great year. But the guy was getting to the quarterback every play. I just don't want – I'm nervous as hell to break. We were a play away from the Super Bowl, man, just based off our offense.
But to your point, Trevor,
yeah,
let's get to that. You said we were a play away from getting to the Super Bowl.
Right.
How did Tyreek Hill do in that game?
Right. And I mean, it's Bill Belichick, man.
I understand. My point is the Chiefs were a play away from the Super Bowl,
right,
and Tyreek Hill had 1 catch for 42 yards. Now, you could say that Andy Reid didn't go to him.
Right.
But the fact is he was ineffective in that game.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs still should have won it.
Right.
And Chris Jones played a vital. I shouldn't say Chris Jones played a vital role, but I'm saying that I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, seeing he was the only player out there that was being effective consistently on the defensive side. I think we can all give him the credit. I mean, Reggie Ragland got that interception. Tom Brady threw it right to him, and I don't care where anyone's at, I'm throwing the ball to Gronk, and it's going to go to him.
I'm throwing Bob Sutton to the best for that loss. I don't give a damn what anybody says. They threw to Gronk, they threw to Edelman, they threw to Gronk, they threw to Edelman. You know those are the guys are going to. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to go cut my wrist. That game, I mean, yeah, it came down to one play, man. I thought we had the game picked. It is what it is, but I think Tyreek, for me, it's Tyreek. I'm scared as hell to break up that offensive chemistry, but we got to find a way to keep them both point blank.
So the good thing is that we don't have to worry about this really necessarily. And like I said, this is just mostly to
kind of like a debate.
Because these are two extremely important, valuable players that this Chiefs team is going to have to re-sign. And not very often do you have that type of situation where you have two incredibly young and incredibly elite players at these positions
just reaching their primes
that are under contract or coming up out of their contracts at the same time, and the team has a cheap elite quarterback, and you have the cap space that you can create to sign both while structuring your team and positioning your team to sign your quarterback long term. This is a very it's incredibly valuable, or it's incredibly opportune time for the Chiefs organization to make some incredible decisions that are going to launch them forth. And like I said about the timing, with the AFC opening wide open, with the Patriots getting older every single year, they're like the San Antonio Spurs. You just know eventually it's going to get there. The Houston Texans being a big question mark. The Colts, it's Andrew Luck and a bunch of guys. We don't know, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, what are they going to be next year? The Chiefs have a great opportunity to bank off of their successes from last year, lock up their core pieces, because I know Eddie, you and I have talked about this off air about why these guys are so important, because of the fact that they play such valuable positions. And like Trevor has mentioned, Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, all he knows is playing football with Tyreek Hill.
Right.
So he has to have him. I mean, look, imagine Tyreek Hill missing the time that Sammy Watkins missed.
Right.
How incredibly tough that would make things.
How much easier would that make for the defense to game plan?
Right.
Not worrying about over the top. Who do they have to worry about over the top? Sammy Watkins, yeah. I mean, he's got the speeds here and there, but he's not, dude. You have to have a safety watching him. Look how many times we've seen Tyreek beat one-on-ones. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
And like you asked, you said, would the Chiefs be able to go get another wide receiver on the cheap if they were to let a guy like Tyreek Hill walk? The problem with that, and here I am, I said I'd take Chris Jones, but now I'm like giving the devil's advocate here. The thing about it is that you can't, even if you were to go get a guy that is productive, you can't just go and get a Tyreek Hill on aisle 5. You know what I mean? You can't just find that guy. So that's why he's so special, because he not only fits the system so perfectly, him and Patty have such a great chemistry, but the fact that he's so young and he's that quick, he's unbelievably – it's not even just he's fast. It's that he's so electric. Like his route moves. I mean, imagine trying to guard that.
And he's getting better.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing about Tyreek. I feel like pass rushers are more replaceable than generational talent receivers. And that guy's getting better. And he's growing with Mahomes. That's why I just don't want to jinx it, man. Yeah. It makes me so nervous as a Chiefs fan. I don't want to see that relationship fall apart. Look what's happening with Big Ben and AB right now. I don't want that. I don't want to – they're ruining something special. Those guys had a special relationship, and they've flourished. Yeah. They've had great years together. I mean, yeah, they've fallen short a lot of times too, but I just don't want to see Patrick Mahomes lose his number one weapon.
And another thing I want to add to the Tyreek thing, even though I'm still sticking with Chris Jones on this debate. It's keep talking about Tyreek Hill.
I have no idea anymore.
I'm playing both, hey, let's hopping back and forth. No, but the other thing I love about Tyreek Hill, just to add to the praise of who he is the fact that there is no ego. Now, granted, I think he only made about $700,000 this season. Having said that, my concern initially would be, okay, once he gets his money, is the ego going to get there? My thing is, since he's been on this team, and the big concern was, he's going to come in here and he's going to be on off the field problem. He has been incredible on and off the field. He's been charitable. Him and his not that it's any of our business, but they reconciled. I think they're getting married. They've had their child.
Change his image.
Exactly. He completely shut all that up.
And that's what separates him from Odell. Odell is the complete opposite of that. I mean, I love Odell. Don't get me wrong. I think Odell is I think he's a good dude. But dude he's a prima donna, man. He's a diva. I love the guy, but he's had a lot of on-field and off-field antics that we've never seen Tyreek have any kind of like on-field issues where he's kicking things, chewing out coaches. The guy is a team player. He wants to win.
Yeah, the thing about Odell is I don't want to get on a tangent too far on that, but I think that he wants to win. It's just tough for him to accept that he's in the biggest media market in the world when it comes to sports. And he has a horrible quarterback. And all the pressure heaps on Odell to perform when he doesn't have a quarterback, gets him the ball. So I can understand a lot of his frustrations. I think what separates them ultimately is what I've already talked about. Health. Tyreek Hill is on the field every single week. We know he's there. He was banged up.
Reliability.
He was banged up this season a lot. He was banged up a lot, and he still went out there to perform. That Ravens game, he was playing with one leg.
He got lit up in that Chargers game too. Remember, he got that ball, and he sacrifices his body so much. And he took that hit, and he's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, he shook it off. Exactly.
I love it, man.
That's the kind of guy you have to have, and it gives Patrick just that much more assurance on the side. Right. But I'm still going with Chris Jones. So, Trevor's wrong. We're right. Me and Eddie. I appreciate the time, Trevor, on the effort on there. But So, guys, I would love to get your comments on that when we post this podcast. Let us know what you guys think about that one, because I know it's a very hot topic as far as the contract for Tyreek, what he's going to get, how it pales in comparison, or rather how it compares to Odell Beckham's contract that he got last offseason. And who would you choose? Would it be Tyreek or would it be Chris Jones? I think it's a fair thing. Like I said, luckily we're not going to have to worry about it because both these guys are going to get paid this offseason.
Can we let the fans or the listeners choose? Can we ask them? Who would you pick? I would love to read their comments.
Of course,
or something maybe.
We can put a poll up there before we post this. I mean, we can definitely do that. But like I said, I think that these are some good talking points, and we can definitely revisit this as the time goes on. Before these guys, they'll probably get signed within the next month. When the NFL league starts up. But I think this is a good conversation to have in the meantime. So when we get back, guys, we're actually going to change it up a little bit. We're going to talk a little NBA, and we're going to talk about the MVP race, who we think the MVP is currently, and just other random topics that we have as far as the NBA is concerned. There's so many storylines that we could really talk about. So we're going to touch on a little bit, and of course, to finish the show off, we're going to go on a little segment called Hold This L. So we'll get to that as soon as we get back from these messages, guys. Stay tuned, and we will be back. Casey Hardgoods is the brainchild of local Kansas City degenerate Scott Reinerson. Born from a passion of old materials and custom designs, specializing in reclaimed wood, burned art and signs, and upcycled leather wallets and accessories. Follow Casey Hardgoods on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Commandeer is Kansas City's alternative apparel brand. They make unique Kansas City-themed clothing and accessories with a countercultural apparel. Find them online at commandeerbrand.com or follow them at commandeerbrand on Instagram or Facebook. Casey Hemp Company, your most trusted CBD provider in Kansas City, shipping nationwide. Ancient Plant for a new age health. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at KC Hemp Co. Back at it again on the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, with my co-host, Eddie Ortiz.
Yo, yo, yo.
And, of course, as I've alluded to in the previous two segments, my brother, the smarter version of the Twidwell sports talker.
So he's the one that should be running
it's kind of like a John Dorsey draft. You know, he drafts the guy that in a year.
I just got the golden voice.
Yeah, Troy wrote all my notes today. It's like a 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. Dre made the beats and Eminem made the lyrics.
I'm the orchestrator.
I'm just out there, the guy that got shot 12 times. So we're gonna give you guys a little bit of a different segment here, and it's because of the fact that we've had a lot of questions regarding NBA talk, and Trevor and I are actually humongous NBA fans. We played basketball growing up. We always debated MJ, LeBron, which, by the way, it's no longer a debate. LeBron is the GOAT. You can not at me on that one. And the NBA is just so much fun to talk about because it's a star-driven league. The season isn't too long, but it's long enough to where you feel like you've accomplished something great. You know, when you get to the finals and things of that nature. Yeah, it's just a great league to follow, period. And it's getting better and better, in my opinion. A lot of people think it's getting worse. I actually think it's great because it's never been as talented as it is today. So the conversation, though, that I want to talk about, because now we're really far into the season now that the All-Star break is over, and it's a legitimate question, is who is the MVP right now, the NBA MVP? Now, you have a lot of legitimate candidates. You have your James Hardens. You have your Giannis Antetokounmpos. You have your Paul Georges. You have several guys out there that can make a legitimate case as to why they are the MVP. I want to ask you guys, because, Eddie, I know you also follow the NBA. You are a Thunder fan. You were super stoked they got Paul George and he decided to stay. You're a big Russell Westbrook guy as well. So he just won MVP the year before. You might potentially have back-to-back MVPs on the Thunder, just two different guys. I don't think that's ever happened before.
No, last year was Harden.
I'm sorry, James Harden, but Russell Westbrook has one.
Before,
so in 3 years, two different guys on the same franchise wins MVP. That's nuts. So
I would love to have that.
What do you think, man? What's your thoughts? Who's your MVP right this very moment?
Oh man,
why?
Okay, I think it's a toss up between. I might pronounce his name wrong. Giannis.
There you go. See, the other day you were calling him Janice. So
just call me Giannis. Don't even try to
Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, we'll keep it that way. It's between him and I'm gonna go PG-13. And I think big reason why Janice. Or
I just told you.
Giannis.
There you go.
Okay. He's sorry.
Freak, baby.
Wait, he's I mean, he is his team, you know. He carries his team on his back, and he's proven as to at such a young age he can carry such a franchise to kind of like that next level. PG-13, he has taken that role as kind of like the leader of the Thunder, and I think Russell Westbrook has given him that. Russell Westbrook, as games go on, you can see him kind of step back and let Paul George take that game, you know. And it's a toss up for me between those two. I couldn't tell you exactly who I can pick.
Make this clear before I even say anything else moving forward. If it wasn't for Steph Curry and LeBron James being hurt this year and missing multiple games, like months of games, it's between those two for me. I think Steph Curry was great because we've seen KD miss games. I don't want to go on a rant, but we've seen KD miss games. I'm just say like we've seen KD miss games, and Steph Curry's healthy, and the Warriors are the Warriors. We've seen them win rings without KD. Steph Curry to me is one of the MVP candidates, but he's obviously not going to be because he's missed multiple games. LeBron, the Lakers, we like to forget this, but the Lakers were the 4th seed in the West. You know, and they've dealt with injuries with Rondo missing multiple games. Obviously, LeBron, that's why he's not in the race right now, really. He's not being talked about, but LeBron's always an MVP candidate in my mind. We can go on a rant about that all day. But my guy, it's not even close to me, is Giannis. I know he's in the weak East, but the East is not weak this year, man. It's even more with all the moves that have taken place with the Clippers and Tobias Harris joining the Sixers and all this. There's a lot of talent in the East. But Giannis stands out to me because, like you said, he is his team. There's no other big. Chris Middleton, sure. He got into the All-Star game because Giannis picked him. Let's be real. Giannis is done nothing but take his game to another level this year. Paul George, sure, but he's got another MVP on his team, so people don't fear the Thunder. They don't. People fear the Greek Freak. People fear the Bucks right now. I know the Bucks aren't a sexy name, but I actually watched them play. It's a great team right now. Straight up, they play great defense. They play both sides of the floor. They have a bunch of role players that play their role. They're like, to me, I know this is a lot of praise, and it's obviously not fair to use this, but they're like the Patriots of the NBA right now because they're the not sexy team right now. The Patriots weren't sexy this year. They won the damn Super Bowl. Anyways, I'm not saying they're the Patriots, but I'm saying that comparison is fair right now because of how they run their business right now. They have role players that just do their part. They got guys like Brogdon and Chris Middleton that hit their shots, play their defense, and then Giannis just does his damn thing. And then obviously second for me is Harden. I just think Harden's been so much offensively just ridiculous this year. I mean, I know he shoots like 40 free throws a game. That's where most of his points really come from, if we want to get real. But the dude is an unstoppable force this year. He's just dropping 30 like in his sleep. So for me, it's and the Rockets haven't been that successful. That's the only thing that's kind of a knock on his MVP candidacy is that they're still pushing just to make the bottom of the barrel. Still, they're not that great of a team still. So, and then so for me, it's Giannis hands down. Pretty much.
The unfortunate thing about the MVP sometimes is that the guys that vote for the MVP make up their minds a lot of times prematurely.
Right.
And once they build a narrative to go off of, they can't be convinced otherwise because, talking about time missed, you talked about Steph Curry and LeBron.
Right.
Clearly the two most valuable players in the NBA. It's not even close. Even with Steph having 3 other Hall of Famers on his team,
and everybody knows that.
You see the difference in how they play and how great they are when he's on and off the court. Like you said, KD, when he was gone, they still won 90% of the games.
Yep.
They were still the favorites to win the entire thing. So although KD is so great, he's nowhere near as valuable as Steph. That is Steph's team. And when it comes to LeBron James, I don't care what anybody tries to tell me.
Right.
He is, even when he doesn't win the MVP, he is the most valuable player in the league. And you saw that last night. You saw that when he finally got back into that quote-unquote playoff mode, and he's leading a team of young studs that have no idea how it is to win. They go back from 19 points in the third quarter and go on to win. That's the LeBron effect. That's his value, and it cannot be put into numbers.
It's not about what LeBron does. I know we're LeBron fanboys and people are going to talk trash or whatever, but it is what it is, man. It wasn't even about what LeBron did on the floor. It's when he said he's activated, his numbers aren't any different. He's just doing what he's always done.
Exactly.
He's going out there. He's playing the same way he's always played. It's not about him activating some kind of new skill or he's unleashing some kind of new, he's actually going to play elite defense or something like that. It's him when he activated. You can see it when he was chewing Kyle Kuzma out this past game last night. He was getting into it. He's pushing. When he said activate, he's pushing the team. He was letting Ingram run point at times. He was letting Ingram just go ISO and push it himself. And LeBron just kind of stepped back and let them do the thing.
Yeah.
That's how he's going to do it. That's his activation.
Well, and let's talk about, James Harden, and I'm going to get to my MVP. I'm sorry, guys, I'm rambling here a little bit, but to make the point about value, James Harden did win in the MVP last year. Yet James Harden missed 10 games last season. Right. I believe the Rockets went 8-2 in those games. And when LeBron was out this year, I think they were 13, 14 games under 500.
They went from the 4th seed to, I think, the 11th.
Exactly. And they were fighting for the 3rd seed, actually. They're, I think, within a game of the 3rd seed. So, anyway, my point is that neither Steph or LeBron are going to win the MVP this year because, like I said, they prematurely decide who their MVP is. And unless one of these guys that we've already talked about that is going to win the MVP blows their knee out or something, let's hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, unless that happens, these guys are not even in the talk. So let's not even really address them as legitimate candidates. For me, it is very simple. And I agree 100% with Trevor. I think Giannis is by far the most valuable player when it comes to what we know and what the voters are going to vote on.
Off of that Bucks team, man.
They are 44-14, number 1 in the Eastern Conference, which, by the way, the East has been great this season. And it always has been actually a really good conference. LeBron just dominated it, and it made it look worse. But now that it's wide open, you see how good the East actually can be. And so they're 44-14, and you can't give me 3 of his starting players on his lineup.
Yeah, I cannot.
You can't.
Yeah, I can't.
The casual NBA fan, and again, we just addressed, this is a star-driven league. It is a league where you see their faces in every single game. They ain't wearing a helmet. They're not dressed all up. They have jerseys on. They're out there playing free-faced, everything. You recognize these stars, and you can't give me a starting lineup. It's the same argument I gave LeBron all those years in Cleveland. He couldn't name his starting lineup. And yet he is they're number 1 in the Eastern Conference. Furthermore, This guy, only missing 4 games so far this season, is averaging 27, 13, and 6 on 58% shooting. Everybody gets on him and says he can't shoot threes. And in this league, obviously the majority of the dominant scorers shoot three-pointers. But what makes him special, actually, if you want to twist it in his way, is the fact he doesn't. He's actually more of a Shaq-type player, where he's more of a rim protector and a rim rocker, yet he's up there scoring like that in a league that is almost frowned upon. And he can't – but here's the best part about Giannis. He can guard all 5 positions. What I've always praised LeBron about is the fact that he could shut down Derrick Rose in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals and shut down their big men in Taj Gibson and Joakim Noah as well.
He was playing the 5 last night against Capella.
That's my point. So the versatility, you cannot put a price tag on when it comes to value on Giannis. Paul George has been hoping. He has hit his prime, but here's the thing. Here's what I have to knock, what Trevor even said. When you have a former MVP that just won 2 years ago, still averaging a triple-double that got him the MVP 2 years ago, it's hard for me to say you're the most valuable player in the league. No offense to it. Paul George is balling, but when you have that on your team, it kind of takes away a little bit of it. And I know that sounds hypocritical because Steph Curry has all those great guys, but I'm saying that Paul George, if I'm comparing him between him and Giannis, if he was on the Bucks, do I think they have the number 1 record in the East? No, I do not. I think they're still a really good team, but I think the Raptors would probably be a better team than them overall. And then James Harden. James Harden is so complex. He's so weird because you look at his box scores and you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy is unbelievable. Sometimes you watch him, he looks unstoppable.
The best ISO player in the league.
The problem, though, is that he gets away with a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He travels on all of his step backs.
Let's go there.
He gets a lot of favorable calls, even though ironically he's bitching about Foster that he hates. And there was some bad calls last night in that game against the Lakers. But James Harden almost 95% of the time gets all the calls. So it helps him when he gets on the free throws. The free throw line is 20 times a game. That's going to up
13 free throws a game.
Yeah, it's going to up your averages of scoring. No wonder he's scoring so many points. I don't want to take away from that's just the facts of it. And the fact is that he's also for the 9th straight season, he's shooting under 45% from the field. As great as he is, he jacks up a lot of shots to be effective. Whereas Giannis is shooting 58% and scoring only maybe a point or 2 less than James Harden is right now. Maybe 2-3 points.
He has that old school mentality, like almost that Kareem-like.
And let's not even try to compare the defensive side between Giannis and James Harden.
Oh no!
I mean, Paul George is the only one that has a legitimate argument with that because Paul George is an incredible 2-way player.
Absolutely, perimeter defender.
Besides Kawhi Leonard, he is probably the best 2-way player in the league because he's got an incredible jump shot, incredible defender, and he's a good passer. Who was that?
KD.
Oh, okay, that's fine. KD is one of the 10 greatest players of all time.
Yeah. His defense in the last few years have been definitely come up.
No, I'm with you on that. If I'm going off MVP right now, I'm going to give it to Giannis, and it's no offense to the other guys. They're all very deserving candidates. But for me, he sets himself apart in so many ways, and I think that he's going to ultimately win it unless something just traumatic happens. And the small market thing is very valid because they like to give it to guys that are in bigger markets. Yeah. LeBron won, 2 MVPs in Cleveland.
Right. But the thing is with the league now, the way it's set up is the MVP is not the MVP anymore. It's evolved to who's having the best season.
Exactly.
And we saw that when I 100% disagreed with Steph Curry being unanimous. I mean, I love Steph Curry. He was amazing that year, but LeBron was absolute lights out that same season. And there's other people that had great seasons that year too, but that achievement has been given out to who's having the better year.
And that's
what makes me think maybe Harden or PG could get it.
Yeah,
they're both having a great offensive years. But so is Giannis. But like you said, the market could affect it. And it's not really based on value anymore.
The outlook,
it's not even close to value.
The outlook does kind of value or favor Giannis because of the fact he was also a team captain in the All-Star game.
Right.
And that's a lot of publicity.
That's true.
Yep.
And he should have won MVP in the All-Star game had it not been for your boy Russell Westbrook. Sorry, Eddie, but he went in there and just totally dismantled the entire rhythm because they were whooping that LeBron ass.
Yeah.
They were killing them.
Giannis is in there to win.
Yeah, you know it's a good night when Dirk's drain him from 40 feet.
It was beautiful.
Like I was looking at okay, this is their night. It's clearly Giannis's night. LeBron's team's not winning this game. And then Russell Westbrook goes in there, tries to overtake everything, tries to shoot all these threes. Giannis was on pace to be the MVP of the game, which would have given him even more credence. But your boy, I'm just.
I saw this meeting with Paul Pierce, and they when they did that enshrinement of D Wade and Dirk's jerseys at the All-Star game, And there's this meme that it shows that enshrinement, and then below it has a picture of Paul Pierce all sad. He's like, "You never did this for me." Bro, that's hilarious.
I did see that. I did see that. Yeah.
I was dying, man, because it's true. Paul Pierce is a legend.
So,
but, yeah,
so Eddie's got PG-13.
Well, I don't have one. I went with Giannis or
man.
PG.
Okay, but if you had to choose between them right now, who would it be?
I'm gonna give it to Giannis.
Okay, so we all agree unanimously.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He's by far the most valuable player.
Yeah, I just think PG, he can compete. He can compete with Giannis for the MVP. That's just my opinion.
The simplistic way to look at it is you take Harden off the Rockets. You got an elite player in Chris Paul that can carry that team. You take PG off that team. You have a guy that can kick it into another gear who's an MVP, a prior MVP, in Russell Westbrook. You take Giannis off the Bucks. You got Chris Middleton, who's a 2 and can hit threes and play some decent defense. Who else is going to lead that team? Nobody. The guy is the team. He reminds me of a young LeBron as far as just being Mr. Swiss Army knife doing it all. Guys,
I say that would be
that's a great argument.
Right
yeah, that's a great argument.
So now that we've agreed unanimously on, like Eddie likes to call him, Janice, we're going to move into our final segment of the night, and this is my favorite part of the show because it's just kind of out there, man. I mean, it's just a lot of fun because we don't really know. We never talk about who our guy is or who it is, whether it's a team, a friend, like whatever it is, of who we're giving the L to tonight. So our final segment is Hold This L. Eddie, I'm going to give you the floor again. Who this week is holding the L for you?
You know, I'm gonna take it outside of the United States, and I'm gonna go to England. And it's not a lot of listeners are soccer fans per se, but I'm gonna have to give it a Chelsea Football Club. I
talk about it, Eddie.
Yes,
talk about it.
I'm a huge Chelsea Football Club follower. A huge supporter. Huge, but huge. But today they just got hit by a 2-year transfer window ban. Now,
explain that? Yeah.
Now, what this means is for 2 transfer windows. So a soccer season consists of 2 transfer windows. You got your summer transfer window, and then you got your winter January. Now, with this 2-year ban, they cannot sign any new players, meaning they can only sell, but they cannot get any new players to the team. So they can sell their great player, their best player, but they can't replace them. They have to put up for the entire season to be able to get somebody new. So to me, they have to hold this L, man. It's crazy. I mean, you guys can read up on it online as to why they got hit with this 2-year ban. If you guys want to, but that's for me who's gonna hold this L.
So Chelsea, hold this L.
Yes.
Trevor, who's holding the L tonight?
There was a couple I was looking at, but I gotta go with Nike, man. Just with the whole shoe incident with Zion. I don't know if I stole that from you, if that was one of yours that you're gonna use. This kid is probably the biggest star to come out of the NCAA, the pimp that the NCAA is, since LeBron. I mean, this kid might be the biggest specimen. And he's like he's like Hulk coming out of the NCAA. You know, he's like a Bo Jackson all over again. Really looks like he belongs in the NFL. Anyways, Nike with the whole shoe explosion within the first 15, 30 seconds of the game. I think they blew their chance of having a shoe deal with this kid. This kid might be the biggest star coming in the league here in the next few years, and pretty sure he's not going to go with Nike after his, sprains his knee after exploding his shoe or his foot through that shoe. I know the kid's supposed to wear Nikes because of, with the Duke, team supposedly is supposed to wear Nikes or they're sponsored by Nike or whatever. But yeah, man, I think Nike has to hold this big fat juicy L because the kid's, I highly doubt he's going with Nike after that situation.
Well, the thing is that he's got all the leverage now, so right. Nike's going to pretty much pay him whatever he wants. But my biggest question is, and Paul George even asked it, what the hell went wrong? And why? Here's my question, adding on to Paul George's.
Paul George shoe,
yeah.
Right?
Why is he wearing a shoe built for a guy that's 80 pounds lighter than Zion Williamson?
And that's kind of the thing. That's why I kind of feel bad about using Nike because, we've never had, since Shaq, we've never had a guy built like that playing basketball. Man.
Well, and Zion's doing things Shaq never did. Oh, he's playing like a guard.
He's Shaq with feather feet.
Yeah. He's 6'6", 280 pounds.
Tulips, and doing freaking behind the back windmill dunks and it is nuts.
Stop wearing Paul George's shoes, damn
Right,
it. You're way
yeah.
too big to be wearing those damn
So,
shoes.
I think Nike's got to hold this L, man.
So
I think it's going to be Adidas or who knows. I mean, anybody can come in and swoop this kid.
I think Nike's going to be like, listen, just name your price, bro, because we can't take that hit. Because if they lose Zion Williamson, that's a dramatic hit. So Nike, hold this L.
Hold
so
that fat, juicy beanie.
So all right, so mine, and I've kind of teetered back and forth with a few of them. I wanted to kind of touch on. I almost went with a Robert Kraft style of L, but I was like, I don't want to dampen the mood a little bit because we already kind of addressed that. So I don't want to I don't want to reinvigorate that one, but I will go and I'm going to give it to the Major League Baseball. I'm going to give it to the MLB. Reason why? Well, I could go on for another full segment on it, but
That's all you gotta say. No,
the MLB is in a place now where they do not have a face.
Right.
You can make suggestions of who the face is of the league, but there is no definitive. Like NBA, you got LeBron and Steph, Harden, guys like that you could just list, right? You know, you have the NFL, you have Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Donald. You can just go off and you can make those lists of guys. And every one of them, you could say, yes, they are the face of the league. In the MLB, you can make the case for Mike Trout. Mike Trout doesn't talk.
Right.
You have no idea who the hell the guy really is.
He's not in commercials. He's not.
And he plays in a market that no one cares about that team.
Right.
Everybody I know in California is a Dodgers fan or a Giants fan or an Athletics fan. They are not Angels fans. I don't know any legitimate Angel. I've seen bandwagons when they would win, going to the World Series back in 01, 02.
Yeah, I mean, that's every team, I would say.
Exactly. So,
especially in LA. You got
Mike Trout is by far the best player in the major leagues, and he's not even the face of the league. Bryce Harper, he doesn't even have a team right now. Like, we're going into spring training right now.
I think he's the closest thing to the face.
But he doesn't even have a damn team. You have guys like Manny Machado that's going to San Diego, a place where people go to die in baseball, making $300 million. He's not even going to be anywhere near his numbers he's been in before. He's hitting over 30 jacks a season. That's the hardest part to hit home runs in. Playing defense is going to be good because he's really good at defense. But they're going to win. They're going to win 75 games this year, and he's making $300 million for a decade. Like that, baseball is in such a bad place. They're talking about putting a time clock on pitchers.
Oh, yeah.
They're cracking down. They're so outdated in so many ways, and it's only getting worse. And like I said, without having a star, without having a face of your league, to be sitting here having the problems they're having right now. Damn it, MLB, hold this L. That's all I got to say about it. You guys need to get better, do better. Get your league back where it should be because baseball is a great sport, and I hate seeing this league continue to dwindle in the 60s. That's what it feels like, man. It feels like you're still watching the 60s and when it comes to baseball. And
hold this LB.
Nice. So a lot of reactions to today's show. I want to thank everybody that's listened to it. I want to thank my brother Trevor for coming on. We're going to definitely have him on a lot more. We're going to have other guests on. Next week, we're probably going to have Clay Windler from Red Tribe Cinema take a little appearance. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But, Eddie, I want to thank you for all that you do, man. It's been a fun show. I want to thank, again, Clay Windler because he's actually producing this episode and from these episodes on. So when you hear the intro and outro, don't be shocked. Clay just decided, you know what, let me crack some knuckles here and make my magic work. My guy is the best at what he does, and I'm so grateful that I got him and attached to this and for letting me play a little part in the whole Red Tribe Cinema fiasco, which is a beautiful thing. So in that, guys, I want to thank you all for listening. We got a lot more to talk about for weeks and years to come, hopefully. So just stay with us, and we're going to have a blast. For Eddie Ortiz, for Trevor Twidwell, I am Lance Twidwell. This is the Spoken Podcast. We're out of this bitch.
See ya.
Later.
We're going to get out of this bitch. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
See ya.
You are tuned into the Spoken.
I might actually stick around for a little bit.